Gunnison. So we just started our graduation road trip for my fellowship, which I just finished. Yesterday we drove about 4 hours from Golden, Colorado to, this is the Gunnison area. I'll put the name of this reservoir down below in a second, but the Gunnison River runs through here. We ended up at this really awesome campsite, amazing views, and now we're gonna drive 2 hours to the San Juan forest, and then on the way out I might fish the Gunnison. I've always wanted to, even if just for a couple of minutes. Out this spot.
Amphitheater campground.
We are at Amphitheater Campground, and we got like one of the best spots somehow with an awesome view. We are back on the road again to the Blue Lakes Trailhead, where you can hike either 6 miles round trip to the lower lake, or do what Michelle did and go a little bit further, 8 miles round trip to the upper two lakes. I stayed behind because I had one of the greatest alpine lake fly fishing days of my life, catching over 10 pretty large cutthroat trout.
You gonna fish?
Yep.
You gonna catch a lot of fish? He's got a fish. This is a testament of true marriage that I'm filming a fish out of water for my husband. Oh, it's red.
He's pretty. I'm gonna let him go soon. See him?
Say hi. I'm gonna get a still too.
Wow, isn't he beautiful?
Mike has a fish. Here's the fish. Show it to me.
See?
His name is Sam. Fly free, Sam. He's got a fish. Mike's got a fish.
Look how red he is in the light.
This.
Cutthroat, look at that red. Okay, say goodbye.
Fly free.
Hey Michelle, what are you making?
Marshmallow.
Oh, is that a dessert like after dinner or?
Appetizer.
Oh, it's before dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. After our Big Blue Lakes hike, we took the next day off, driving down Red Mountain Pass and to Mullis Lake. No fish were caught that day. We then drove into the town of Silverton to explore a little bit before enjoying an ice cold brew and some pizza on a hot day.
We're in Silverton.
Back in Ouray the next day, we decided to do the Ouray Perimeter Trail, which is a 6-mile loop surrounding the entire town with incredible views of the town, the surrounding mountains, and waterfalls. We were nearing the end of our journey, and so we began the trip back home to Salida, up to Buena Vista, into Cottonwood Pass, and to our Collegiate Peaks campsite for the night. After a one-night stopover, we'd complete the journey home by driving from Buena Vista back to Golden, Colorado.
So we're at the conclusion of our trip. We left Ouray yesterday and came through Salida, which was awesome. We had a beer there. We walked along the Arkansas River. Now we're in Cottonwood Pass near Buena Vista, where we're at a campsite with kind of all the usual amenities, which are really nice for the end of the trip. Now that we've got over a year of experience in Campion, I was thinking it'd be cool to do an updated van tour. So we'll talk about some of the things we really like about the van, but I think I'd like to start with talking about some of the things we didn't like or didn't really fully hash out before we built it. The hand pump water faucet, don't like it. One of the problems is when the bed's folded out, you really can't use it. Two, it's just kind of in an awkward spot. You know, if it was way back here, maybe. And then one of the last things is, you know, in this space and in the van in general, there was just never that much room to kind of store water for the hose for it to go into. So probably it's something I'm going to remove. Luckily, it is easy to remove. But on the flip side, what we were able to buy is sort of a pressurized water sprayer thing, which helps us a lot cleaning dishes. We kind of showered off with it on a really hot day. Here's where the pressure pump water thing sits. And then this is our potable or drinking water. Love this thing because you can just kind of set it up on a table and it drains out the bottom. Also included this new bungee strap so that we can have bags of snacks, groceries, whatever. And with the doors closed, like they're not going anywhere. They're not going to slide around. The chair that kind of flips around and rotates.
Sorry.
I love it, but we don't use it as often as we'd like because the issue is with the amount of space that the fridge takes up, you cannot physically rotate this chair around unless you pull it out. So it's a bit of a project. Additionally, with the limited space, we have to throw all of our clothes and other stuff up in the front two seats when we're sleeping. So it's tricky. Now we have used it on a couple of times. One, when we were skiing and it was kind of a cold day, we needed to hang out and kill a couple of hours. It was really nice. We spent a couple of days in the rain. Again, really nice to kind of hang out in that chair. You can sit back a little bit more so your head isn't ramming up against the ceiling. But one of those things I'm not really entirely sure if I would have gone through the trouble. Awning. Also kind of a love-hate relationship with this. Obviously, it's awesome to have on really hot days to get some shade if you're not in an area like this. Really nice for rainy nights too. We've used it a bunch, kind of eating, playing cards underneath it. But the problem is we cheaped out, and that was a calculated decision, but it's a pain in the ass to put up and take down. And it's actually already broken once, and I'm gonna have to fix it. So seeing as it's kind of difficult to set up and put away, you don't use it as much. And so in retrospect, I maybe would have spent more money on something that was a little easier to kind of pull out in the future it'd be sweet to have something that just automatically comes out and like has one of those wind sensors that pulls it back in if the wind kicks up. So not sure about that. Solar panel, awesome, absolutely necessary. I'm really glad we went with the 200 watt one because again, with a 100 watt one, you're not gonna get 100 watt. You're never gonna get like 100% efficiency. So this usually tops out at like 150. Now, one of the things I don't like about this setup is how close it is to our carrier here, because you can kind of see it right now. It can block a portion of the panel. And even if it's a spot of shade about this big, a strip down that way, that's enough to kill your efficiency by like 70–80%. So retrospectively, I kind of wish I had come up with some kind of rack that could flip it out or change the angle in some way. One of the things that we didn't like was those sort of insulated foil-backed window covers. For one thing, we could never figure out a great way to attach them like neatly to the windows. We tried magnets, we tried Velcro, and the sun just always defeated us. It melted the glue, and so those things would always come off. Additionally, in such a small space, everything that you have to store or shimmy around becomes kind of a pain and chaotic. And with those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of pads, that was a lot of space that we were taking up. So I added shades. It didn't go down as well as I thought it would. Here's another shade. So these are really great because when you want to get rid of them, you just push them up and they kind of stay out of the way. You don't have to store anything. These were a huge pain to install though, because again, this is like an RV shade built for a big vehicle with plenty of space. And so you see I had to like carve out portions of the ceiling. I'm drilling into like metal of the frame. But I think it was totally worth it. Things we really like, the heater. I think the heater is really the heart of this fan because it allows us to camp anytime, anywhere. I mean, we've skied out of it in the dead of winter, and between this and the really good insulation job we did, we are super toasty. And you'd be surprised, even in the summer, there's maybe only been 2 times that we haven't turned it on. That's how much it drops. It's relatively quiet. However, I do wish we could have mounted it kind of further forward in the van so it's not right under our heads. But it really doesn't wake me up anymore. It also kicks on relatively infrequently, again, because of how well the insulation holds everything in. So I can't remember if we showed you this stuff already, but I think this is all new. First, we've got this nice little shelf. It's just a place to put your phone, your wallet, whatever, when you're sleeping. We also have a clock, which is kind of awesome because it also wirelessly charges. So if you pop your phone on top of it, it just starts charging. All right, another update is the table. It flips up, and I won't set it up right now, but we've got this little kind of tension rod which clips right in here, so this thing is really sturdy. If you're not at a campsite, it's nice to have some surface to make your coffee on, brush your teeth, shave. Another thing we love is the bed, and specifically the job we did with the cushions. We've got kind of a base layer that's thick and kind of firm, and then a top layer which is a bit more cushy, and we custom did that. That's really what we wanted. We wanted a bed on wheels with a heater, and we sleep really well. Another update are these little bug window net things, and I'll show you how they work. The reason we got them is because even in the winter, you do want to have a slight crack in your windows so you're maintaining some kind of fresh air flow. That's for safety reasons, but it's also to keep the humidity from kind of fogging up your windows, and then you wake up with frozen windows and you can't drive it. But you need to keep bugs out. So these are just kind of like a net bag which flips over the top and just kind of straps on like that. No bugs. Another thing we really like and use way more than we'd like to admit is the toilet. Even if we're at campsites like this, you know the feeling of having to go and you're still in bed and it's cold outside. The fridge, we love it. It's worked really well considering how cheap it was. I think it was like 200 bucks. And between the generous amount of solar we get and this 1,000 watt-hour battery, we never have problems running it the entirety of the trip. The last thing we've been really happy with, pleasantly surprised by, is this Jackery Explorer 1000, which is a combination lithium-ion battery with a solar charge controller and inverters for DC and AC power. And it's worked perfectly. And the crazy thing is we really test this thing. So we'll go out for 7-day trips and run this thing continuously, drawing power, pulling power in. And it seems to be doing fine. So we've got about a year in the bag, knock on wood that it lasts a bit longer, but very happy with it. Final thoughts.
My final thoughts are, I have overall been super happy with it. I think that it has enabled us to camp way more than we would have. Like, it's way more appealing to camp when you have a queen bed that's comfy with a heater.
Definitely.
So we have camped probably multiple times a month for both summers that we've had this, and don't know that I would have done that in tent camping. So I think, yeah, it's really gotten us out and then enabled us to do some really cool things. So I'm super happy with it.
Yeah, and I've loved like late and early season camping, which you probably
fall
wouldn't
camping.
do unless you were hardcore. So we're really happy with them. Good job, Campion.
Good job, Campion.